And she loved Kenan. That in turn caused me to love them both even more. And so what happened was I chose to love. But love is not just a choice. Love is also action. So in that day, we're walking around, right? And all of a sudden, little Kenan's shoe was untied. And he turns to me and he's like, Daddy, tie my shoe. And I'm like, okay. And who bends over to tie his shoe? Glenn does. See, love is an action. She took the steps to initiate a relationship with him and served him by tying his shoe as a little, 6-year-old. So love is not just a choice, but it is an action and it is a skill. It is something that you can work on and build up in your life. And so as we look at loving our community, we're looking at ways in which we can enhance our own personal understanding of love. If you want to know how to love your spouse better, don't yell at them. That's something I'm learning consistently. I told you I'm a horrible person. So I have to work on loving Melinda better because love is a skill that I have to develop and work on and study and read and become more knowledgeable in how to do love better. Same way we need to love our community. Love is also a deposit. We talked about love tanks the other week. We talked about how we need to fill our love tanks continually. Love is a deposit. Love is also costly. Love cost Jesus his life. And if we're not willing to do the same thing for our community, then we are not willing to love in the way that Jesus loves. And if we're not willing to love the way Jesus loves, then we've got to spend some more time in his word, getting to know him better. See, we must desire to minister to people where they are, placing love at the forefront of our minds, doing the work of love, choosing to love those that are most different than ourselves, developing our skills to love, making daily deposits in individuals' love tanks, and remembering that this type of love cost Jesus his life. We need to be willing to say, Lord, here am I. Send me into the community. Now, we had an amazing event here, but we required the community to come to us, right? They came here onto our property in the midst of a very interesting parking situation, in the midst of all the awesome trunks and candy and good times had at the bounce houses, 700 plus people. We ran out, we had 7,000 pieces of candy and we ran out in 45 minutes. Do you understand that? We had a 2-hour event. We ran out and all the candy we had was handed out and dispersed in 45 minutes. That was awesome. We need to be willing to say, here am I, Lord, send me. In Isaiah chapter 6, verses 1 through 9, the prophet learns what it means to have agape-style love. This is what it says. And he said, go, say to this people, keep on hearing, but do not understand. Keep on seeing, but do not perceive. And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then I said, here am I, send me. And he touched my mouth and said, behold, this has touched your lips, your guilt is taken away, your sin is atoned for. And then a seraphim flew down, and having his hand in a burning coal, he took it with the tongs, and he got it from the altar, and he said, woe is me, for I am lost, I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. And the foundations of the thresholds shook in the voice of him who called, and the house was filled with smoke. And the one who called another said, holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. Above him, the seraphim, each had 6 wings. With 2 they covered their face, 2 they flew, and 2 they covered their feet. And it was in the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. I want us to understand something. In Isaiah 6 here, he had a vision of God. He physically saw God. We must have a fresh vision of God if we're going to reach our community with him. If we are going to minister to the people of 5 Points, we need a fresh vision from God. We need a vision that the people in our community can see, taste, hear, touch, smell. Remember we talked about truth, the signs of truth. We need a vision that comes from truth. We need to come clean before God so that we can hear his voice. We need to respond to his call. And we need to live a life saying, "Here am I, Lord, send me." But here's what I've found. While we need to have a fresh vision, we often find ourselves sitting in our pew, sitting in our Sunday school class, sitting in our home, sitting in our car or in a restaurant or wherever. And I find that we are satisfied. We're satisfied with where we are. We're satisfied with what's going on. We're satisfied with how we're living. We're satisfied with what we have, which is good. But what we need to be dissatisfied with is where we are spiritually. We need to be dissatisfied because what happens when we become satisfied with our spirituality, it becomes religiosity. And it becomes complacency. And it becomes comfortable. And as we become comfortable, we lose sight of our eternal perspective. We lose sight of loving people in the midst of their mess because we want them to be as comfortable as we are. What we need to do is shake up the status quo. What we need to do is find sources of truth that will change our lives forever. I want you to know, in preparing for this message, I scoured God's word for the word retired. You want to know how many times I found it?
0.
None. None of the disciples, none of the Old Testament guys, Elijah, Elisha, Moses, none of them ever said, "Hey God, I'm retiring. I'm going to sit back. I'm done. You got it from here, right? You don't need me." While that is true, we are not called to retire from our spiritual journey. We're not called to retire from our point in life in which we say we've done enough. We don't get to that point. We don't get to that point. That is where we find what we call complacency, religiosity. The sense that I'm okay. I can coast through the rest of life, and I can just absorb the good. Instead of spiritually coasting, we must learn to be spiritual adventurers who sojourn with God throughout all eternity. Sojourn. I learned that word when I was a sophomore in high school. I had never heard it before. My mom said it, and I was like, what in the world does that mean? So I looked it up, and I'm like, I love that word. We got to sojourn with God to keep an eternal perspective. We've got to sojourn with God so that we're not just coasting through life. We've got to sojourn with God so that we are loving people where they're at in the midst of the mess. Whether it's self-created, imposed on them by others, we need to love them where they're at because we all carry mess with us. Some of us, it's long in our history. Some of us, it's yesterday, or the day before. But we all have it. We must discipline ourselves for continual growth. We must plan for continual improvement. We must train better and harder so that as we work through ministry together, our partnership grows and we glorify God through all that is done in 5 points and beyond. See, this is the work of ministry. This is our continual prayer focus. This is our worship. This is our community. This is discipleship. And I want you to know that through all of these things, I am so excited for the spirit of interest and excitement that I find here. And we're going to do this. And we're going to do it good. And God is going to be glorified because he wants us to be satisfied in him so that we can best glorify him. This morning, what is it that's on your heart? What is it that you need to come forward and share with God? Is it a moment of surrender, like me with Tony Campola? Maybe you want to surrender to baptism. Maybe you want to join the church, take the new members class with Duran. Maybe you want to find Jesus more in your life. Whatever it is, I pray this morning that you will join us here at the altar. Father, thank you for burdening my heart with an eternal perspective for all people. Help us to each understand our role in loving others. Help us to hear your voice as you call us to surrender and to serve. Build up within us a refusal to coast by spiritually and a passion to see 5 points transformed into your kingdom here on earth. In your name, Father. If you'd like to come forward this morning,